I can still remember the feeling I had when I heard that John Candy had died. Quite frankly, it was devastating news. Not only had the world lost a very funny man, but we had also lost a genuinely nice and decent person. One example of John's kindness and generosity took place when he was asked to be part of a new holiday movie titled Home Alone. More on that in just a moment, but first let me introduce myself. Hi folks, my name is Dave Sundstrom, and I like to think of myself as something of a pop culture historian, especially when it comes to music, movies, and television. Simply put, I love talking about this stuff. So with that said, let's get rolling. Growing up, I was a huge fan of John Candy, and it was all because of this show, Second City Television. Way before his long string of hit movies, I grew to love John on SCTV. To me, these folks were even funnier than the Saturday Night Live cast. And this guy was the best. You know, regardless of who he played on SCTV, you could tell he had a real affection for that character. Among my favorites were the Fishin' Musician, Johnny LaRue, and even though it was just a one-time thing, I loved it when he was Theodore Cleaver all grown up. Getting to the point of this video, when John was asked by his friend John Hughes to be part of a new holiday movie, he didn't think twice about helping his friend out. But the interesting thing about this movie is the crazy negotiation process regarding what John was to be paid. And you know what? While some might think what happened was absolutely bonkers, it was truly typical John Candy. According to a recent article by Simon Brew on the website Film Stories, when John Hughes initially asked his friend to play Gus in the movie Home Alone, he suggested that John take a small slice of the film's profits. However, John Candy, being John Candy, said that he would rather just do the role as, get this, a favor to a friend. The amount that was settled upon was less than $500. $414 to be exact. It turns out John Candy was among the very lowest paid people who worked on that movie, actor or otherwise. Now, I am aware that there are other articles out there that suggest that John may have been a bit bitter about the whole deal once the movie had become such a big hit. But in most cases, these articles are speculation, based on a handful of comments that Candy made while making another film later on with John Hughes and director Columbus, titled Only the Lonely. That's right, the same two fellers responsible for Home Alone. So here's what I think. John appeared in Home Alone as a favor to a friend, period. The money was inconsequential. Now, later on, did he pass up on an opportunity to jokingly complain about his insanely low salary on Home Alone with the two guys responsible for that blockbuster hit? Probably not. After all, they were friends. There is a Hollywood Reporter interview from a few years back where Ryan Parker visits with John Candy's kids to get a sense of just what kind of guy this megastar was. In that article, his kids talked about John's eagerness to work with all sorts of charities, including Make-A-Wish and the Pediatric AIDS Foundation. His daughter Jen recalled that her dad liked to make people laugh and feel good, and with certain kinds of charity work, especially with kids, he could do that and it made him feel good. Yep, I've got to say it. They just don't make them like they used to. In my life, I don't know if there will ever be many folks funnier or kinder than John Candy. Somewhere I read that Candy's true talent was that he would get you to laugh at him at first, but then ultimately he would have you laughing with him. I said this in another video about John, but there was a real sense of honesty in his eyes, even when he was acting. Well, what am I saying? Especially when he was acting. When we, the audience, looked at his face, whether it was Candy himself or a character that he played, we all saw a little bit of ourselves, and we were reminded not to take ourselves all that seriously. John Candy knew that. He'd figured it out. And that's what made him so darn wonderful. Alright, now it's your turn. Please share your thoughts in the comments section, and while you're at it, I'd love a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I would be honored if you would consider subscribing to my channel. I talk about music, movies, and mostly TV from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching.